My poor Iris hub. It's searching. It's looking for a home. Hello YouTube, my name is Chris Beatty and I am addicted to smart home automation.
Tomorrow, it'll be partly with a high of 61 and a low of 45.
Yeah, see, what's not to like about that? Lowe's Hardware shut down their system, their Iris smart home service, and what do? Well, I found something that might take its place. It's still new to me. And well, let's take a look here. Cracked open the box, this ADT Home Security Starter Kit, the Samsung SmartThings version. First thing I found in here was a user manual. Looks like it's maybe 2 or 3 different users manual, probably a quick start guide plus a little safety instruction and a little FCC, whatever, you know, that's that kind of thing. The next thing in the box is going to be a stand, a desk mount. So the display panel, which is the hub, it can be wall mounted or it can just sit on a desk. So for now, because it's 110 powered, I don't have any good 110 at the wall yet where I plan on putting this, so I'm going to use the desk mount. Then there's a power adapter with a little gadget in here that attaches to the adapter and keeps it from falling out of the wall. The next thing you have is a motion detector, and it has a QR code, a quick response code. So all the devices, like the door and window sensors, there's QR codes on the back that you can use your phone with, and that helps you set the devices up for the first time. So you have those, and then the last thing in the box is going to be the ADT Samsung SmartThings hub and control panel. So the control panel is mostly for the ADT alarm. So the alarm and the arm stay, arm away buttons. Nice looking panel, 7-inch panel, touchscreen, has a siren built in, very loud siren. At some point after I get this set up, I will get a decibel. I'll trigger this thing and get a decibel meter so you see how loud it is. It's terrible. This is the extension for the power supply. And it looks like we have some mounting areas there. And well, that's it. Here's your user's guide. This one's the most important. Desk mount. Motion detector. And mounting hardware. Brackets, screws, different things you'll need to mount that motion sensor. Or window or door sensor. I'm going to use these on the doors. They come with the magnet parts, some various different mounting options here. You can tell that's magnetic, some screws, sticky tape. Another one here, door window detector. And this is our power adapter. Now this sticks on the outlet, and the wire tie runs through here. There's some American National Standards Institute codes that require you to attach this for some reason. I'm not sure why, but that's that. So there's our power adapter. And last but not least, there's this nice looking touch screen here. And this really is a super nice looking touch screen. When it lights up, I'll show you what that looks like. Very nice. if you're coming from the Iris system, it's I think this was about $100, this kit. So you're really getting a lot here for $100. I feel like, anyway. When it comes to some of the Iris hardware, some things will work with the SmartThings system. So like this outlet, this smart outlet, this is first generation. It's not going to work. The smaller second generation ones should link up, pair up to the SmartThings system. And there's instructions in the app that guide you through that with each Iris device. So it's really nice. Here's unfortunately a brand new keypad I never used. Whether or not it works, it's second generation stuff, but it might be proprietary to the Iris system. So you'll just have to try and experiment and read up on each individual item that you have. I know I have a smoke detector that I have to install, and I believe it's going to work, so I didn't have to buy another one of those. Your results may vary, I guess. Here's the ADT Samsung SmartThings control panel in action. You have the clock, you have weather, you have your arm stay button and your arm away button. I can simply
arming away, exit
or
now.
I can disarm.
System disarmed, ready to arm.
I have it set up that I receive a text message every time I arm or disarm this system. So if we take a look at how fast that works, you'll see. Let's get the phone over here. Let's go arm.
Arming away, exit now.
I should get a message here in a second. There it is.
You've got.
All right, and I'll disarm it. This code I'm using is the master code that it comes with. You really want to change that right away.
You've got karma.
There we go. Anyway, there's a lot of things that you can do with the panel as it relates to the alarm system, but not much. For the SmartThings part of it, you still have to use your phone app for that. So the arming and disarming, super easy. If you need to, if you want to bypass a sensor, for example, I'm going to enter the system and bypass my motion sensor. So I'm going to bypass this motion sensor, and that way, for whatever reason, if you need to bypass a door sensor or a motion sensor or whatever type of sensor. So now there's a little digit up there that lets you know something's not quite right, but you can arm it anyway. You can adjust the timeout. I think I have this set for 8 minutes. Easy to make it work, easy to panic. Oh, it even has a cleaning mode. I think that's pretty nice. So we can go into settings. Let's go to screen. I can do screen brightness. There's my screen timeout. And I can go clean mode. It gives me 30 seconds to wipe down the screen. That way, you can clean it and not set the alarm. That's kind of neat. All right, let's see, anything I'm forgetting here. Wireless signal, sound, power. So this unit does have a battery backup inside of it. So if I unplug the power from this, it shows that power is lost, but it's still going. And I imagine I'll get an alert on my phone letting me know that there's a power outage. That's useful. I may or may not get the alert. I may or may not be set up for that. And well, that's about it, I think. Super easy to operate, super easy to arm, super easy to disarm. You can even put new users in, pretty easy. Say if you want to give somebody a code, adding them is super easy. Put in your code and then hit users, and then you can just add a name and a password. Super slick. And the walk test, it gives you, there's a console test, there's a sensor test, I'll exit that. You get the idea. It's very intuitive. Read the manual. I'm sure there's more than enough information in the book, but as far as just figuring this out on your own, no problems. Self-explanatory.
Stay.
Super easy to use.
System disarmed. Ready to arm.
Oh, there goes the text message again. See, it's pretty fast.
Karma.
I installed my Samsung SmartThings ADT starter kit, and so far it's worked flawlessly. I mentioned in the video that I picked mine up for about $100, and the price changes quite a bit. So here it's listed at the current price, $134.02. It shows that it's been marked down from $549.99, and it doesn't get overly great reviews. But I don't know if that's because the people reviewing it were from old purchases at that $549 price and weren't happy with what they paid for compared to what they got. But I think for somewhere in this price, I think you're getting a good deal. It shows that they're still available, and even looking at the expansion pack where you get an ADT. Now, this expansion pack will only work with the ADT SmartThings Hub. It won't work with the just regular SmartThings Hub. It has to be this ADT branded hub because these are the ADT branded sensors for this hub. Look at this price, $39. You get a carbon monoxide detector, smoke detector, and water detector. And I don't think you can beat that price. That's a good deal, I think. And plus you can get the other some extras. A curious thing, and something to note here, is I noticed this Life Shield security system. This kind of popped up recently. This is a company that ADT purchased, I think about a month ago. I don't know if they're focusing more on this kit here, and giving up with the with marketing maybe this system. But as of right now, and I hope they don't discontinue this thing. I imagine if they do, everything should still work the same way. But I really like this kit because, you know, it's a do-it-yourself monitoring kit. You don't have a monthly commitment. You don't, and see, that's the nice thing though. But if you wanted a monthly commitment, for example, if I was going to leave town for a month and I couldn't be around to monitor this system with my cell phone app, well, you can call ADT and, you know, set it up for a month. And I believe it's just that simple, and I don't think there's a contract, and I think you can just, you know, pay the fee when you need it. So that's a nice option too. You can go on your own, or as long as you're using the ADT sensors, those sensors can be monitored through the ADT system, through their professionally monitoring service. So that's a nice feature. It is a bit more than what Iris was charging. You probably get a little bit more for that price difference. So I'm not real sure. I can't speak to the benefit of using ADT for monitoring because I just don't do it. I just use the app, and I stick around. I'm always close to the house. So, you know, if I get an alert on my phone, I can do something about it pretty easy. So, but, you know, just to give you an idea on pricing, I think it's a pretty affordable way to go. Okay, here's a look at the inside of the motion sensor. You have to take this back cover off to install the screw that holds the wall bracket on. And you use this little button right here. Push down on it, panel releases. And the only mistake or the only trouble I had was in this little area with the taper head screw. There was just a plastic embossing, and it wasn't punched out all the way. So initially I thought the screws were to go here, and it took me a few minutes. I figured it out, but not a real big issue, but something to be aware of. It does include a CR123 battery too. On the right hand side, you can see how I have my ADT motion sensor mounted in a corner using the angled corner bracket. I believe this sensor has a range of about 30 feet. This one's looking down a hallway. ADT recommends you mount this between 6.5 and 7.5 feet off the floor. Keep it away from heat sources like heating vents and any place large animals might roam. Well, I was also lucky to get my old Iris radio thermostat paired up with the new SmartThings hub. However, I did have a little problem because this was the first old Iris device that I was moving over to the SmartThings system. And I found out through, well, just reading at the Samsung SmartThings Community, so that's community.smartthings.com, a big help on trying to figure all this out. I didn't know that I had to, because this was previously installed on another hub, that any device that has been previously installed has to be unpaired. And you do that in the SmartThings app by clicking on the hub and then clicking the more information dots, or the drop-down menu dots, and that brings up the Z-Wave utilities. And then I was able to put my hub in exclusion mode. And then I believe, as far as just linking this or getting it to pair, I think I was able to press the menu once, and then under here, the word link twice, and then, mate, the word mate twice, and then this link, I believe, started to flash, and then there was a little yellow light that came up somewhere. Then I was able to pair it. It gave me a little bit of trouble because I didn't know about all this hub exclusion mode. And of course, every device is a little different. So when you try to exclude it or pair it, you really do have to read up on the individual device. And if it doesn't work, community.smartthings.com, that's a lifesaver there. That'll really help you get going in the right direction. It'll take some reading, though, so, be patient and persistent and keep looking. There's ways to do it. And speaking of ways to do it, SmartThings has an API. So, with the SmartThings Groovy IDE, you can go to this site and you can find code samples and tools to create your own custom integrations with the SmartThings ecosystem. And we can have we get to the developer section, and let's see here. There's quite a bit to look at and to learn if you want to go in deep. Let's see some developer. Here's the API documentation. It's really good. Everything you need to know. Writing your first smart app. The Groovy basics. Groovy is the programming language that they're using, and there's a lot of good information here. And with the IDE, you're going to be able to go in and create special with all the different code samples you'll find, and the big community of developers that are willing to share their talent. Some really smart people out there. If you have something like an old Iris keypad and you think it should be able to work with the SmartThings system, chances are there's a workaround, and chances are somebody out there has already created it and uploaded some code for you to try. Of course, a lot of that's not, endorsed by SmartThings, and certainly not endorsed by ADT, but you'll find useful workarounds. If you're really geeky and you really want to get into that, it's a place to go. Okay, I'm going to wrap this 9-hour video up. No, seriously, I so do apologize for making this such a long video. I know it didn't have to be. I'm not a YouTuber. Well, at least not a good one. And I came at this with no plan and no script, just kind of winging it. So that's probably why. And You know all the uhs and the ums and the, yeah, you know. So there are a couple things I think I'd still like to mention, and one of which is the Samsung SmartThings phone app. This is the heart of it. If you want to set this up, there's no web interface. Well, not right out of the box, so you have to rely on the SmartThings app. There are actually, if you go into your Play Store or your iTunes Store, you'll find two different apps. One is the original or the classic SmartThings app, and the other is just called SmartThings. There have been reports, or at least people have had problems with each version, and the setup might be easier using the classic app, and then you can always, well, I think you should be able to switch over to the new app without losing your settings, but give that a test. Don't take my word for it. I know that the classic app might be easier for some people to get this set up with. I can't remember which app or which version I used. It may have been the classic. But in either case, give each one a try, see what you like. I do think that they're going to sunset that classic app. I think they're going to get rid of it. It's not going to go forever. They're not going to support it forever. So you might get used to the new app anyway, just to save you the hassle down the road. I still have a little bit of frustration with the new app. My last update, it looked like I lost one of my ADT or one of my Samsung SmartThing locations, which would have meant setting up all those devices again. And luckily, with a phone reboot, everything came back. The other thing that I think is definitely worth mentioning is the ADT SmartThings control panel. There's a time setting, but there really isn't one. In the app, you give SmartThings your location, and then they can assess your time zone from there. Or if there is a place in the app, you establish a time zone. It doesn't seem to take hold in the ADT panel for about 3 days. So it'll drive you nuts because you'll try all these things to get your time right, and it just won't be right. And as far as that goes, maybe the weather display will be wrong too. So before you do anything drastic, wait about 3 days. That's about average. I think that's what it's taken on my end here. And then lastly, some of those Iris or some of those smart plugs, if you're coming from the Iris system, you're used to the smart plugs showing a power graph or a power meter. And I've found that with the SmartThings system, you won't have that in all or with all of those smart plugs. About out of the 5 or 6 different brands I have installed, well, 4 brands, and only one of them shows a power graph. So that's kind of frustrating because in the Iris system, it was pretty consistent. All those Iris smart plugs showed a power graph, and I really like that part of the system. Well, anyway, that's got to wrap it up. I could go on and on and on, but we're going to cut it here. And if you stuck it out this long, I really appreciate it. And, well, if you hated that I went on too long, I appreciate that too. I'm sorry. I can understand. I don't like long videos. So in either case, if you loved it or hated it, give this video a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it 2 thumbs up, whatever you got to do there. And I appreciate you listening. Good luck. Take care. Down below in the notes, I'll probably throw a link to the Amazon site where you can find this ADT SmartThings system, maybe a affiliate link, and then other links to some of the other resources that I've found helpful. And hopefully we can keep the comments open. And if you have any questions or comments, you can drop those below. Thanks again for watching.